petrol price in Rajasthan has already hit a century. The price of petrol in other cities is steadily moving towards the three-digit mark, making states and centre richer and Aam Aadmi poorer. Now, in this time of a pandemic, it is clearly eating into the savings of the common man. And according to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the middle class would not have been burdened if the previous governments had focused on reducing India's. But does the entire onus lie on the successive central governments? But what about the high VAT levied by the state governments? Let's understand India's fuel price conundrum on India Revival Mission. I am Hina Gambhir, and joining me on the broadcast today is Vandana Hari, who is founder Vanda Insights. We have with us Saurabh Chandra, former Secretary, Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. And we also have with us Mr. R.S. Sharma, former Chairman, ONGC. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us here on India Revival Mission. Let me begin this discussion with you, Mr. Saurabh Chandra. The NDA government, in a way, is putting the blame on previous regimes. But that time, if you will recall, the crude was around 100 and the petrol price was around 60. But today, it's exactly the opposite. The crude is somewhere around $64 per barrel and the petrol price is inching close to 100. What really explains this?
Let me make two preliminary submissions. One, there are no free lunches in life. Two, there is no major economic decision which is untouched by political priorities. Having said this, the way to understand this is, how does one raise money to meet the expenditure? You raise it through tax, you have non-tax revenues, and you have what is called fiscal deficit, which in turn means loans. Now, what did the earlier UPA government do? There was something called under-recoveries. Now, under-recoveries were funded, one, by upstream companies, to some extent by midstream companies, and the third from the government budget. At that time, oil bonds were given. More than 1 lakh crore oil bonds are still outstanding. So the question is, do we suffer pain in the present through tax, or suffer pain in the future by repaying the debt? Either way, it is the taxpayer who's going to pay it. So this is a political choice. UPA government made one choice. The NDA government made another choice. And these prices are linked to international prices. So you have the Singapore petrol prices determining the Indian petrol price, and you have the Arab Gulf diesel price determining the diesel price. So that is how it is. These are just political choices.
So are you suggesting that probably we have to wait for elections to come, at least in Delhi and UP and other nearby states, for the relief on fuel prices? Because at least 5 states, sir, in the country have already reduced VAT, and some of them are poll-bound states.
You see, politics will determine economics. It's happened in the past. It's probably going to happen in the future. When it becomes a political compulsion, then a change would take place.
Okay.
At what stage it becomes a political compulsion is entirely up to the political leadership.
Okay. Ms. Vandana Hari, now the question is that the oil minister of the country has called it a temporary phenomena because of the, what the OPEC countries are doing right now. And, perhaps in a few weeks from now, we are expecting some changes as far as the production is concerned. So we can expect things to get better. What is your sense of the situation in the international market? How soon do you see this upward trend of crude getting reversed? Is that going to happen in the near future?
Unfortunately, Hina, things are going to get better only for the oil producing and exporting countries. And the reason I say that is, first of all, you have to bear in mind that 2021 is already looking much better than 2020 in terms of COVID, in terms of various lockdowns and restrictions by governments, the optimism with regards to vaccination, making economic recovery much faster. So in 2020, oil prices were very depressed. It was, I would say, almost unusual circumstances, huge demand destruction, especially the first 2 quarters of the year. And 2021 is looking very different. So we had Brent, the international crude benchmark, average around $42 last year. Already for the first 2 months of this year, it's been closer to $60. The expectations are for Brent to average 60, could be even 65 through this year. So we're looking at least a 50% rise in crude prices and perhaps even higher prices in the second half of this year than what we're seeing now.
Okay. Mr. R.S. Sharma, now coming back to the argument that we were discussing initially about the issue of import dependence and what Prime Minister Modi also raised. You've been in the field for a very long time. You understand the oil producers as well quite well. In your opinion, has India done enough to reduce import dependence when it comes to our energy needs, sir?
I would say yes. But if my next sentence will clarify the position. India, which is a domicile to 18% of the world population, our known hydrocarbon reserves are less than 2% of the global reserves. It is not I am saying, these are the best of the global experts, best of the GNG experts. They have been saying India is not endowed very much with the oil and gas reserves. So I don't think we have not been doing enough. ONGC, primarily the domestic production comes from ONGC. I know very well it has been optimally producing, and had it been in private hands, it would have been, reservoirs would have been flogged and production would have closed. So I am proud of that I represent ONGC. This is the organization that has for the past 60 years it continues to produce from some of the fields like Bombay High. This was discovered in early 70s. It is still producing. Other fields also. So a very conscious call is taken to what extent production increase should be done. So that is the way it is being done. And I don't think there's any efforts lacking on the part of domestic production. But it is unfortunate that we don't have enough reserves. Look at Japan, Korea, look at many of these countries in Europe, Switzerland, don't have any this oil and gas reserve. 100% these countries import. So I don't think that is an embarrassment for the country that we are import dependent. Only thing is we need to balance our imports and exports in such a way that the economy doesn't suffer. I don't know whether we have time to discuss that larger issue, but I leave it to you.
Okay, it's an important issue, and that is the reason why when I started I quoted what Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, because like Mr. Chandra was mentioning, as far as cutting taxes on fuel is concerned, it's clearly going to be a political issue now, looking at the way things are right now and the kind of commentary we've been getting from various ministers in the government. But Mr. Chandra, coming to the issue of import dependence, I mean, if you look at the data, NDA's aim is to reduce the crude oil imports by about 10% by 2022. But if you look at the data from 2014 till 2019-20, the percentage has actually gone up.
You see, my take on the subject is that almost all your production comes either from the nomination fields or from the pre-NELP fields. And that is where a lot of reforms are required. You see, post pre-NELP, NELP went on much longer than what was desired. Thereafter came ELP, and then came OALP. Now the question today is, if your production is coming from the nomination and pre-NELP fields, what are the reforms that can be done there to increase production. Secondly, and I think Mr. Sharma had made a recommendation in one of the committees that he was a part of, we have to move category 1 basins to a royalty tax regime. In all bits which will be outsourced in future for category 2 basins onwards would be on the royalty tax model. But we need to bring it to category 1 basins. If these 3 things are done, I am quite optimistic that the domestic production can go up. Our import dependence will be high, but it will perhaps not reach the 90% that it is projected to reach in the next few years.
Ms. Hari, what is your view as far as the dependence angle is concerned? Is India doing enough? Is India spending enough when it comes to exploring new oil fields as compared to other countries which are also big importers like India? Your recommendation?
So I completely second what Mr. Chandra and Mr. Sharma have just expressed. First of all, India's geology is what it is. It cannot be changed. That's true for any country. Having said that, India ought to be doing, and I think in a lot of ways it has been doing, everything it can to tap its domestic oil and gas reserves. That's beyond doubt. But we also should bear in mind that globally attracting upstream investment dollars has become very difficult for countries. And here we're talking about mature and prolific basins that at one point of time would be a big target for companies like ExxonMobil, Shell, BP. All of these companies are reinventing themselves. They're shrinking their oil and gas portfolio. So, the point here being that India will have to increasingly look towards domestic capabilities, domestic talent, domestic technology to utilize the gas and reserves that are still under the ground or under the seabed. If I may just very quickly make sure that our viewers do not directly connect the point on import dependency with prices at the pump. I think these two are very, very separate matters, and it's important to understand that. So India's dependency, unfortunately, will continue rising because there isn't that much more oil and gas to be tapped. So, as the demand grows, the import dependency will grow. The reason India's prices are going up, and of course, as Mr. Chandra has already mentioned, there's a tax component, and then the international price component. But India, in 2010, decided to completely deregulate its gasoline prices. In 2014, it completely deregulated diesel prices. Means companies now have freedom, the OMCs have freedom to set the prices. Also, there is no subsidy component involved. So in a way, it's unfair to compare current prices with prices before 2014 or 2010. So import dependency on the one hand, but once a country decides to deregulate its prices, the prices will naturally have to follow what is happening in the international markets.
So clearly the prices of petrol and diesel are following the prices of petrol and diesel in the international market. That's a very fair point. But Mr. Chandra, you will recall when this decision of deregulation was taken. In fact, when 3 big decisions in the oil and gas sector were taken by the NDA government after coming to power, and the NDA government started increasing excise duty on petrol and diesel. Repeatedly, these comments were coming from the government side that, today we are increasing the excise duty because the oil prices are falling, and tomorrow when the oil prices start rising, the crude oil prices start rising, we will be using this extra cushion to give relief to the common man. Shouldn't the NDA government now fulfill this promise? Don't you think the tax component is way too high in India specifically?
You see, I'm conflicted because I was in the chair when the diesel deregulation decision was taken. Yes, it was an opportunity which we took advantage of and deregulated the diesel prices. This is one reform which has held on. And finally, you see, it's a very easy source of collecting revenue. It's very efficient. There is no leakage. And my take is during COVID times, when the corporate tax was falling, when the income tax was falling, when GST collections were falling, even though excise collection was less, but it did help. Now, collecting and increasing income tax receipts, similarly corporate tax, is not as easy. GST, of course, is looking up now. What we need to do is look at direct taxes and why the receipts are not going up from income tax and corporate tax. Why are they actually falling? It's quite likely it's because of the fall in GDP. Because as per the second advance estimates of NSO, the GDP of this country would go down by about 8%. This would get reflected in lower receipts of income tax and corporate tax. In addition, you see disinvestment. Disinvestment receipts were huge. There were more than 2 lakh crore provided in this budget. And they were only a fraction of it. Maybe next year, the provision of 1,75,000 crores is achieved to some extent. But the point remains that your direct tax revenues and the non-tax revenues, they have to increase. And that is where the efforts need to be made. Once they increase, then of course the attention would go away from this much easier mode of collection of excise on petrol and diesel.
But, you know, Mr. R.S. Sharma, it's making things quite difficult for the common man in the country.
Yeah, Hina, one is the very comforting news I'll give to your viewers. Everybody would have read that finance minister is evaluating to reduce the excise duty because now the consumption levels have gone up. In absolute terms, government's revenue, whatever targets they have to collect from excise duty, the revenues from the levies on the oil, that will not get adversely affected if the government reduces excise duty by 8.5 rupees per litre.
Okay.
I'm quite positive, if not 8.5 litre, you can very soon hear excise duty reduction by 4 to 5 rupees per litre on petrol and diesel. Personally, I feel this international prices will not go up very steeply.
Okay, so you are telling us that, you know, the viewers can expect some good news in the days to come. Ms. Vandana Hari, closing comments from you. What is the outlook really like as far as the international market is concerned, the petrol and diesel specifically, and how much scope do you think NDA government has as far as excise duty cut is concerned?
So let me just quickly tackle the tax part first and put a little bit of an international perspective around this question. So, you know, 60% tax component in pump prices is not unusual. If you look across the OECD countries, which is in the developed world, of course, 60, 65%, even higher rates, percentage of tax as part of the fuel prices is the norm. I think where probably India is an outlier is it's not an OECD, it's not a developed country. So if you look at the non-OECD countries, which are, you know, all your emerging countries and your lower income countries across the world, typically the tax component tends to be a little bit lower. Because again, you know, here we are not talking about very affluent families driving cars, but, you know, especially in India, we know two-wheelers consumption is much higher, for instance, in petrol. Plus, there is a lot of ripple effect of increasing diesel prices on the agricultural community, on public transportation, and so on. So I think that needs to be put in perspective that perhaps in, you know, just going with the non-OECD world, India's tax component is probably quite high, and maybe, you know, as my fellow speakers have said, there's probably some wiggle room there that the government should look at. So, you know, I would say that that seems to be the sensible way to go. Unfortunately, I do not share Mr. Sharma's optimism with regard to international prices giving a relief anytime soon.
Okay.
So while they may not continue on a very steep incline like what we have seen in the past 2 months, so I'm certainly not in that very bullish camp of
Okay.
$75 and $80 that we've heard from some Wall Street banks recently. But at the same time, I don't think, and I wouldn't really advise anyone to wait for prices to go back, for Brent to go back into the 50s or let alone, 40s.
I give you the last word, Mr. Saurabh Chandra. Given the kind of reports we are reading these days, how much scope do you think NDA government has in slashing the excise duty, given the constraints and the demand from people? 10 seconds. Closing comments.
I wish I could predict the future, but nevertheless, my guess is maybe a relief of a couple of rupees is in the offing in the near future. I can't say how much. It's not possible for me to say that. But in excise, the change in VAT has already started kicking in.
Yes.
And with elections not very far away in Uttar Pradesh, about a year down.
And then
maybe-
Delhi also.
Maybe somewhere during the year, some relief should come. I agree with Vandana ji that this crude oil prices are likely to remain around $60. They're not going to see the levels of $20, $30, $40. I don't think that's happening.
All right. So clearly, all eyes are now going to be on this big decision by the centre, which we are all hoping to see very soon. Appreciate all of you for joining us here on India Revival Mission. Thank you very much.